Hello, everybody. I first just want to say thanks for coming. My name's Michaela, and this is my colleague Pam. We're both physical therapists at Harrington. We're part of the Falls Committee, which is newly formed. September is actually National Falls Prevention and Awareness Month, so good opportunity to come out and talk to you guys all about falls. The name of our presentation is Fall Education and Prevention Strategies. It was put together by the 4 members of our committee, Pam and myself, and then 2 others, Sarah and Chris, who also helped with the presentation. The objectives of our presentation today are to review the current statistics on falls and the serious threats that they can pose, to identify risk factors for falling, as well as ways to decrease those risk factors, to educate on the benefits of exercise in regards to optimizing aging and decreasing falls, and to demonstrate and review what to do should you have a fall. As a Falls Committee, we came up with the mission statement, so it is as follows. As physical therapists, we understand that falls are a serious threat to the health and well-being of our elderly population, and the statistics regarding falls can be staggering. The main focus of our team is to optimize the experience of aging by providing screening, assessment, and interventions, all of which can significantly help improve balance and reduce fall risk. By doing this, we hope to motivate older adults to stay active, maintain independence, improve quality of life, and ultimately prevent falls. So we're just going to start off with a few facts about falls. So falls are actually the leading cause of injuries among older adults. The number 1 cause of falls is age-related muscle loss. After age 40, we lose about 8 to 10% of our muscle mass every decade, just on its own. Now couple that with inactivity that we see with retirement, living a more sedentary lifestyle, those sorts of things only amplify that loss. Fall risk increases with age and is greater for women than it is for men. And when an elderly person falls, their hospital stays are almost twice as long as those admitted for any other reason. Over 1 out of 4 Americans age 65 or older falls every year. Approximately 9,500 deaths in older Americans are associated with falls each year. More than half of all fatal falls involve people who are 75 or older. The data here isn't meant to scare you. It's really just to provide some education and teach on how serious they are so that hopefully they can be prevented. So, fall death rates increased by 30% from 2007 to 2016. Out of all the falls that do happen, 60% are typically in the home, 30% are typically in a public setting, and 10% are in a healthcare center. Researchers predict that by 2030, there will be 7 deadly falls every hour, and 2/3 of those who fall will do so again within 6 months. So again, not meant to scare you, just meant to show how important it is to try to prevent and reduce falls, especially as we age. This is just a diagram that sort of shows the correlation between falls and quality of life and how they kind of go hand in hand with each other. So, for example, a person becomes fearful of the falling, a little bit worried about their balance, then results in them limiting their social activities. Not going out to lunch with friends as much, not visiting family, not going to see that one relative that has a full flight of stairs to enter, etc., which only results in further physical decline. That can then lead to depression, since you aren't connecting and seeing people like as much as you were before, which then results in social isolation and feelings of helplessness, which only increases fear, and the whole cycle kind of continues. So that's why we want to try to stop that cycle as early as we can. These are some common risk factors for increased falls. So certain medication can increase your fall risk. For example, tranquilizers, sedatives, and antidepressants are just a few. Those are not the only ones. In addition, some over-the-counter medications can affect balance and how steady you are on your feet. Always a good idea to check the side effects of all the medications that you're on. and also speak with your doctor if you feel a particular medication is affecting your balance. Other things are vitamin deficiencies, specifically vitamin D and iron, but those are not the only ones. Difficulties with walking or balance, vision problems, which again is why it's important to be regularly checking with your doctor, with your eye doctor. Foot pain or poor footwear, as well as neuropathy, those can increase your fall risk. Weakness and poor strength at baseline. Having a fear of falling can actually increase your fall risk, which sometimes people don't realize that one. Leading a sedentary lifestyle or being inactive can increase your fall risk. Certain neurological conditions like Parkinson's, like MS, that can increase your fall risk. Home hazards, which we will get into a little bit. And then, as we sort of already touched upon, having a history of prior falls can make you more likely to fall again in the future. So these are some general home safety tips to help try to reduce and prevent falls in your home. So in regards to the stairs, you want to try to keep all objects and clutter off the stairs. I know I'm guilty of it. If I have stuff that needs to go upstairs, I tend to let it stack up on the stairs until I need to go up and do it, but try to reduce that as much as you can. You want to make sure you have railings, and if you have railings, you want to make sure they're sturdy and not rickety or anything like that. And if you have carpets or non-slip treads on your stairs, you want to make sure those are secured and not loose or hanging over the step or anything. When it comes to floors, you want to make sure that you have a clear pathway and reduce the clutter as much as you can. You want to try to remove scatter rugs or tape down the edges of any area rugs that are sticking up. And you want to make sure all electrical cords and wires are against the wall and out of the way and not kind of in your open walking area. In regards to the kitchen, you want to move the items that you use more regularly to spaces that are easy to access. So like, if you're using your mixer every other day, that's pretty heavy. Don't store that up way on the top. Keep that somewhere that's easy to reach. You want to make sure to dry any spills right away and not let them kind of linger and stay out. And you want to make sure if you need a step stool to reach anything, try to have one like that kind of has that handle right on it so you have something to steady yourself and hold on to as you step up. For the bathroom, you want to have a non-slip mat in the tub or shower if possible. You want to try to install sturdier grab bars in the tub or shower to help you out as you need. And you want to utilize raised toilet seats or commodes over the toilet if that's something that's becoming more difficult for you to do at home. So now we're going to get into screening for falls a little bit. So as healthcare professionals, there's two different main ways that we tend to screen for falls. One of them is a self-reported measure where you actually fill out a questionnaire, you answer questions based on certain things. Those ones are really, really important to be honest with, because if you're not answering the questions honestly, then you're not going to get an accurate score. And then the other type is called performance-based. So that's where somebody is evaluating your performance on a certain thing. This is an example of one of those self-reported ones. This one is actually from the CDC. I like this one because it gives a statement and you're supposed to, circle yes or no if that pertains to you, but then it kind of tells you over in that far column why that matters. So I kind of like that it gives the why. And as you guys are filling it out, you can notice a lot of the questions they ask sort of has to do with some of those risk factors that we already talked about, like, having some numbness in your feet or being worried about falling. It sort of touches upon those direct risk factors. So just so you guys are aware, according to the CDC, a score of 4 or more says that you may be at risk for falling. Here's the thing I like to tell everybody though, right? Anybody at any time can fall. There's no 100% cure to make sure you're not going to fall. So things happen. Even if you score 0 on that, you still have a chance of falling. Do you know what I mean? So don't let that scare you. This next one is just another example of another questionnaire that we use a lot in the clinic. This one touches more on a person's confidence with all of these listed tasks. The scoring of this one is a little bit more complex. For this one, it touches on your confidence. So how confident are you that you will not lose your balance with XYZ? Just another way to kind of self-report. And then lastly, we get into more of those performance-based ones. So this is where a physical therapist or a doctor would actually test your balance using some of these tests. So the first one, the timed up and go. This one, somebody would time the amount of time it takes for you to rise from a chair, walk 10 feet around a cone, come back down and sit. The next one, 5 times sit to stand, it's pretty self-explanatory. We time the amount of time it takes you for you to stand and sit 5 times. The Berg balance test, it's a little more lengthy. It looks at 14 different components of balance. So like standing on one leg, if you can stand in tandem stance, picking up an object from the ground, a bunch of different things like that. And then it sort of gives us a comprehensive score at the end. And then the Tinetti test, that one sort of combines balance and walking. So it assesses your balance through a few different things, and then we look at your walking, and it sort of gives you an overall score at the end of that. These tests really, you guys wouldn't have to worry about them, but your healthcare provider would sort of pick which one they think would be best to screen you using. I'm going to hand it over to Pam now to talk to you about exercise.
So far we've talked about risk factors and how set up and the screening test, but now we're going to talk about exercise and what we can actually do to strengthen, to help prevent falls. So we're going to talk about why we should exercise and what makes a well-rounded exercise program. So the benefits of exercise and strength training, it slows our bone loss, so it can delay the onset of osteoporosis, which is important because that leads into it decreases the likelihood of fractures if we do fall or if something happens. If we have good strong bones, it decreases the likelihood of a fracture. It can decrease your risk of falling. Strong muscles equals improved balance. It can increase your activity level, which when you have increased activity levels, stronger muscles also gives you increased energy. It improves your flexibility. Flexibility can help decrease chronic pain in a lot of our joints by helping them move through their full range of motion, so we like to keep flexible. And it controls weight because exercise helps burn calories, leading to being active. So reasons to increase our energy, which we kind of talk about, to feel stronger, to feel more confident, improve our walking, improve our flexibility, decrease our fall risk, maintain a healthy weight, improve our self-image, sleep better, and improve digestion. So back to that slide earlier, the cycle that started with fear and went to isolation, and exercise helps to break that cycle because it keeps you active, it gets you out, it's a good social thing. If you have a class that you go to, you make friends in the class, you can encourage each other through all that type of stuff. So that's all a good way to keep active, keep our muscles strong, and strong muscles means better balance and increased activity. So believe it or not, they've actually done studies to define what successful aging is. Our psychological well-being contributes a lot to our successful aging. So our mood, our activity level, all of that helps us to be happier and feeling more fulfilled in our life. So when we feel like we're in a good place, we feel like we're able to deal with the challenges that life throws us. So changes in activity as far as retirement, the financial challenges that might come with that, changes with friends and loved ones who may have struggles. So if we are satisfied and active and healthy, we can deal with those things a lot easier. Studies show that personality traits such as resilience and the can-do attitude seem to protect against negative effects of adverse life experiences, and being active and staying healthy and feeling like you have the strength to be able to be out and be social with your friends all helps contribute to successful aging. So again, this shows aging well, revolving around activity and physical health and staying active and having social resources. So what are the components of a well-rounded exercise program? So, just exercise can be anything. For some people, exercise is just doing, not just, but doing chair yoga, doing in a supported system, setting, moving your arms and legs, getting your blood pressure and your heart rate and everything going. Or it can be walking with your friends around the neighborhood, or it can be a Zumba class or a Tai Chi class. There's all different forms of exercises. But what makes up a successful program? The first one is the warm-up, okay? So the warm-up gradually increases our circulation. It gradually increases our heart rate. It gets our body ready for the vigorous exercise. So a warm-up is super important because it helps to reduce our risk of injury from the exercise. So if we get our body moving and get things warmed up, we're going to tolerate the activity a little bit better. And the next component is aerobic exercise. So that's where we get our heart rate and our respiratory rate going for an extended period of time. So it can be different for everybody. When you think aerobics, you think Zumba, you think step aerobics, but it could also be walking. For some people, it's walking at a quick pace. For some people, it's, some people just marching in place, they can get that heart rate up. It just depends on what your baseline activity level is. Nobody's saying that you have to get out and go run a marathon. I couldn't, but getting out there and doing some walking at a good pace and getting my heart rate up and that type of thing is considered exercise. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends for aerobic exercise that we do 20 minutes of vigorous activity 3 times a week, or 30 minutes of moderate intensity 5 times a week. So just kind of getting out and getting the heart rate up and the blood pumping. Now when we do that exercise, we want to go into our cool down when we're done. So the cool down allows our body to come back to its regular resting state. So it allows our heart rate and our respiratory rate to come back down to normal. But during the cool down is a perfect time to work on your balance. So it's kind of a little bit slower walking, but you can do some sidestepping. Okay, if you're near a counter, you can do some like tightrope walking. You can do some walking backwards. So anything like that is a good way to work on your dynamic balance or your moving balance. And once you feel like you've recovered a little bit, then you can transition into some static balance. So standing with your feet together so that you have a really narrow base of support, keeping your eyes open or your eyes closed. Make sure you have a chair or a counter or anything that you can kind of rest fingertips on for balance if you need it, because I don't want anyone to go home and fall. That would kind of be the opposite effect of what we're going for here. So make sure you have something to hold on to. Standing one foot in front of the other. When that feels pretty good, you can try even standing on one foot. Okay, so just challenging your balance is part of your cool down. Kind of work it into your routine. Strength training is super important. So I said multiple times, strong muscles mean improved balance. Strong muscles mean increased activity. So how do we get our muscles stronger? You don't have to lift heavy weights, just a little bit of resisted exercise. The important thing is to move through the full range of motion and go slowly. So if say you're doing a bicep curl, if you're only going here, you're not getting the full effect of that exercise. You want to make sure you go all the way straight to all the way bent, pause at either end, and move nice and slow. If I get going fast, yeah, I can do a lot of weight that way, but I'm using momentum, I'm not using my muscle. So it's more slow, controlled movement through the full range of motion for your joints. Doing strength training is what helps decrease our likelihood of osteoporosis. It slows the bone loss, okay? So that's very important. And again, I already said, stronger muscles, increased balance, increased energy, all that kind of good stuff. But make sure, like I said, that you go slow with the exercises. You're not really trying to bang them out, okay? It's slow, controlled movement. You're like, oh, I have to do 10 reps. That's not going to help you, okay? Slow and easy. Another important part of what we wanted to go over today is what happens if you do fall? How do you get up off the floor? So the first thing you do if you have a fall is don't panic, okay? Easier said than done, I get it, but kind of lay there for a minute and assess yourself. Am I hurt anywhere? Is anything hurting? Am I in a safe place? Am I in my bathroom and the water's running and I'm kind of in a puddle? What are the things I have to be worried about right now? But kind of take a breath and assess the situation. And then decide if you can safely get up or not. So if you're there and you're like, okay, nope, nothing hurts. I think I'm okay. I'm going to try and get up. then try rolling onto your side. I'm going to go step by step through the process, kind of using stable furniture if you have to, not something that'll tip over. Don't go for the little kitchen chair, but try something strong and sturdy. And then once you're up, tell someone that you fell. Anyone. Call your kids, let somebody know what happened to you. And if you feel like you have any injury at all, reach out to your doctor. If you decide you can't get up and there's no one around, then you got to try to find a way to get some help. So either if you have a lifeline, if you have your cell phone, we all kind of have one of these around somewhere. So if it's in a nearby spot, call yourself some help, or make loud noises, bang on something, anything to get the attention of someone that can come help you. If there's any clothing or blankets or pillows or curtains around, cover yourself to keep warm while you're waiting for help. And then obviously once help arrived, they'll get you to the doctor or make sure that you get the help that you need. But the important thing is not to panic. Falls do happen, but we have to kind of figure out the safest way to deal with them when they do happen. All right, so how to get up off the floor. So the first thing, if you are on the floor, try and kind of get onto your back, and that's where you can kind of assess to see, all right, I can move everything, lift your leg, lift your arms, kind of make sure that everything's working okay. All right, make sure that you're not hurt, and then you're going to roll onto your side. So what you're going to do is you're going to roll onto your side and kind of push up so that you're on your hands and knees a little bit. So try and
This way.
Yep, and then kind of get up to all fours. And I'm going to we're going to pretend this is the sturdy chair. I'm going to hold it so that it's not. And she's going to put her hands up on the chair and then bring her stronger leg forward. So if you have a good leg, you're going to use that one. And from that position, she's going to come on kind of up and then just sit in the chair. Yep. So we don't want you to kind of just get up and keep running on your way. You want to get yourself sitting and kind of assess the situation. And from this position is where you're going to call your doctor or your family member or whoever you need to come and help you out. Okay? All right, so in summary, we've learned that falls pose a serious threat to the health and well-being of our elderly population, but with proper education and exercise, falls can be prevented or reduced. Okay? If you feel your balance is declining and might be in need of physical therapy, be proactive and speak to your primary care physician and get a referral and come on and see a therapist. We can do some of those balance screens with you. We can give you exercises, work on the areas where you need help. Okay, so it's what we love to do. So aging is not lost youth, but a new stage of opportunity and strength. Okay, and it is possible. So even though we went over the slide that says you lose a percentage of your your muscle strength after the age of 40, it is possible to prevent that or slow that through regular exercise and with strength training and keeping active. Okay, so you're not doomed to just lose your muscle. You can still build muscle at any age. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So when we exercise, and a good way to think about it, I know you probably hear the 0 to 10 scale a lot, right? For pain, for everything, but it can also be referred to our perceived exertion or how hard we're working. Okay, so if you think of a 1 to 10 scale of how tired you are, 1 being not tired at all, you feel great, you're ready to go, and 10 being completely exhausted, you couldn't take another step. Okay, that moderate activity that we said, 30 minutes of moderate activity 5 times a week would be in that 4 to 6 range. So you're working a little bit hard, you feel like you're getting some exertion, but you're not exhausting yourself. That would consider moderate. Vigorous activity would be your 7 to 8 range. Okay, and that's how you can kind of guide how hard you're working. There's a lot of different programs out there that are exercise groups and that type of stuff. But here's some information if anyone is looking for it. Silver Sneakers, which is the senior exercise, and they probably do some balance stuff. So there's some information on the Y or Anytime Fitness.